That is Monkey Wrench by the Foo Fighters. Unfortunate news to start out this podcast with their drummer has passed away, like literally today.
Taylor Hawkins was last night.
Yeah, Taylor Hawkins. Oh, it was announced today.
Yeah, like I saw stuff last night.
Okay.
People posting.
I was driving back hungover from Connecticut. But yeah, I heard about it. And sucks because Foo Fighters was like one of those bands that I was never like a huge fan of. But like I like a lot of their songs. Like that's one of it's like when you realize that like you suddenly listen to a bunch of Elton John songs and you're like, I think I like Elton John. I just didn't realize
I'm a huge Elton John fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well.
Oh wait, hold on. This is Millennial Stoner, everybody. Sorry, it's such a nice intro. Millennial Stoner. I'm Joe Winchell. I am the Millennial Stoner, and my guest today is the wonderful Andy Plagainos. Is that how I say your last name? All right, good.
Look at you,
I've known you long enough. So.
Yeah, it's been like 4 or 5 years.
How you doing today, Andy? Good.
All right, I'm hanging in there. Just got a haircut.
You look good.
Yeah,
you're like me though. You have like the side.
Yeah,
it has to be cut short.
I have a cowlick.
Yeah, but you have that like you look like the world's coolest science professor, like with the
science. Yeah, I look like Thomas Dolby, an older, dark-haired, black-haired Thomas Dolby with a mustache because Thomas Dolby didn't have a mustache.
Like you're gonna turn. It's like, hey,
poetry in motion.
It's great. You do. Oh my god. So, but we were actually talking before.
Yeah.
About any time. I was just saying literally before we started about it's weird how any time that like a celebrity or like any kind of like well-known music figure or anybody like passes away, it doesn't matter what time of the year it is, I'll inevitably see a bunch of statuses online that are just like 2022 could suck a dick, worst year ever.
Right.
Because I remember thinking that when like what was it, like Bowie and Prince and
yeah.
like
that. I mean, that year was like
that was a shitty year.
That was pretty. I mean, that was like wow.
Yeah, because that was like 3. Well, and everybody forgets that for me it started in December because Lemmy passed away.
Right,
but he passed away in 2016.
Right,
and then 2017 it was boom David Bowie, boom Prince, and so those were the 3. But then the third one was somebody else. There was somebody else that.
Well, to stop it with saying the fucking third one because that's what drives me nuts about.
Oh, it's like it happens in 3s.
Because you know why it happens in 3s?
Because
you fucking stopped counting.
It's true.
You stopped. You started counting at 1 and you stopped at 3. And then the next person that dies, you start up again.
But it's only how famous they are because there's inevitably like was it John Hurt passed away, but he also passed away at the same time as like Scott Hall, the wrestler.
Right.
It was literally the same day they got announced and everything.
Right.
But I'm a huge and I'm John Hurt, amazing actor by the way. I just want to point out fucking great.
Definitely pour some out of the 40 for him.
Oh yeah, but like I'm such a huge wrestling fan. I was like fucking drunk crying about Razor Ramon.
Razor Ramon was like
a lot of people were
fucking like breath of fresh air because I had just
in wrestling.
I had lived through the 80s. With all of the fucking rock and wrestling connection.
That's some prime shit, man.
It is, but I was like a kid for all of that.
But that's the best time to be. I think that being a kid in that, there was so much for a kid.
Well, coming out of it, you had like kind of the attitude era, as they call it. That started.
The 80s gave way to the boring 90s, which from like 90 to like 96, it was just bad.
But Razor Ramon was one of the few, because I was straight up WWF.
Yeah, me too.
I liked
WCW for Sting. I liked Sting.
I thought that was such a stupid, like they were just, it's like, it was, like acting, right?
Yeah.
I love acting as well as I know you do.
Yeah.
I hate doing musicals.
I do too. When I was in college, when I was studying theater in college, like I was like, no, I'm one of the cool actors. I'm like, I'm outside smoking cigarettes. Everyone else is like inside, like singing along to
Maybe my moo.
And you can ask any of my this is not me. This is ask any of my friends in theater. Like, Joe fucking hates musicals. He would chain smoke cigarettes outside, and I would like pontificate. I'm like, let me tell you something about John Patrick Shanley.
But the thing is, if you want to act as a kid growing up on Long Island, anyway, I don't know if this is true. I imagine it's true everywhere. You have to do musicals.
100%.
You just have to.
I don't think I know of any like community theater at all. I don't do community theater, but I know a lot of people that do, and it's always musicals.
Yeah, look at their season. Look at any community theater season is going to be fucking musical after musical after musical, and then the children's theater. are also musicals
all the time. All the time, because that's how you keep kids entertained,
right?
You know, and I understand, like, you can't put on these, you know, Long Day's Journey and Tonight's shows all the time,
Right.
But like, I've always told people, I'm like, it's like they're never as good as they're always pitched to me. I remember there was this one called Next to Normal that came out.
Okay.
And we went and saw it. I was in college. We went and saw it like I was from the theater.
Where did you go to college again?
I went to Suffolk Community College.
Suffolk.
Yeah. We had a good theater program when I was going there.
Didn't we figure out one time that we both had the same acting teacher?
What was his
Mrs. Ashker?
No, I didn't have Mrs. Ashker. I had my acting teacher was named Stephen Lance Geffero.
Oh, there was somebody. There's another comic.
Yeah.
That
probably there's a couple comics that do acting. I always tell comics do acting,
but
man.
that took at Suffolk and had Ashker.
I've heard of it. I didn't have it, but I've heard. Yeah,
she was such a cunt. Like
you can say it's fine.
Beep. I'll take that out in post, guys.
Was it? Why was she? Why was she?
She just like. I mean, it's Suffolk.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Oh God, yeah.
Like we're gonna be pieces of shit.
When we this is what I learned when we did it, and this is one of the reasons I stopped doing like acting. One of the reasons was because one of the reasons being I never applied myself enough as I should have. But the other part of it is I really did just I always looked at it as like this is like a job, like a craft. You learn how to do it.
Sure.
And like I was told a lot of times that like it's not that hard to work as an actor. It's not. I don't care what anybody says. It's hard to get and do high work, like prestige work. You want to be like, if you want to be like in movies or touring with like the old Vic or something like that and getting like fondled by some fucking old blonde fucking gentleman.
Right.
You know, like what's his name was the head of the old Vic? Kevin Spacey. Yeah.
Kevin
Spacey is what it was. Yeah. But if you want to go work at like one of those prestigious, or the Globe that still runs shows, that's going to take a lot of work, obviously. And you're going to have to be really fucking good. But you can get paid to be an actor, you know, and I'm not just talking about fucking in porn. I really am not.
Oh, yeah.
You can get paid to be an actor. I know. Like,
as a dude, it's very hard to actually get into porn.
Yeah, because you got to do gay porn first, right?
I don't know about that.
That's what I always heard.
Now, I had a friend of mine who was a porn producer.
Really?
Yeah, that I grew up with, but then like he moved and then he like we all like a bunch of us caught up with him again.
You told me this.
Places.
Didn't you tell me there was some dude that kept bugging you about like, let me get an audition or some shit?
No. It was my best friend was saying that to Phil Smith was the guy.
Oh God.
Which is such a great bland name that of course you're a fucking porn producer because you have a name like Plagainos. You can't.
No, because that's a very recognizable name.
Right.
They'll be like immediately pin you out.
Right. So yeah, Phil Smith because every time we saw him out, my best friend would be like, "Hey, man."
He would just be like,
"I'm right here.
Right here?
I'm right. Dude, I could do this for you." And
not a chance.
So Phil told us that the screen test for a male porn star is you jerk off.
Like in front of the camera, like you just stand there and jerk off?
Yeah, you stand there and jerk off.
Okay.
And then you do it again. You have to get like hard again and come again, and then you have to.
So do you get a break, or you were like, all right, first load's done. We're starting with the second load now.
You have to do it as fast as you can.
Is it like professional? Like, does he have to walk in front of the screen and be like, hello, my name is John Benson, and this is my jerk off audition tape for Vivid Pictures. And that we didn't silent staring at a camera. First load is done. I'm going to do the second one now.
We didn't get that far because my buddy was like, we were talking about it one night. He's like, I don't think I'm going to fucking do it.
He was going to do it?
Yeah. Wow. He totally was. My buddy, this guy, he's dead now. but he did like everything like to the fucking max.
He was like live life to the fullest type.
Yeah. He was a Marine.
Okay, there it is, right there.
And in the Marine Corps, he was a scout sniper.
Holy shit!
Which is bad.
Yeah, I know. I've got a couple friends who are Marines. I've talked about snipers before.
It is an insane fucking program. And then he became a Suffolk cop.
Jesus.
Yeah. So like he was like we called him the package.
Yeah.
It's like any woman that was gonna marry him was getting like he was good looking dude, fucking ripped.
Did he have a big dick?
I don't know. I never saw it.
Never talked about it.
Oh, we all like because it was about getting people.
Sometimes
to laugh.
guys like that, it's like they're compensating for shit.
No, he was hilarious. Like,
okay,
he grew up a fat kid. He was a fat kid.
Oh, never mind. He probably has a huge dick then.
Right.
Yeah.
Or at least it looks huge to him.
Yeah. Good angle.
Right.
Or it's like a beer can. Like
it's all
just,
about forced
it's thickness.
perspective.
Yeah. So you've taken a few dick pics in your time, huh?
Well, I'm just saying.
I put this next to it so it kind of contours the size.
It's like the the train tracks. They go to that vanishing point.
Yeah.
So. You find the vanishing point, anything looks huge.
I was just saying before how I love you because you're just like the science professor of Long Island Comedy. You're the one that's going to turn around with some amazing fact. You just did it outside to me when we were smoking.
Well, that's the I would call it not that I'm particularly smart, but intellectual. I like to read a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
it comes
interested
across
in a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
but it is annoying because
I have too much knowledge.
Well, what we were saying outside was that I hear people say shit and they're totally fucking out of fucking.
And you were a bartender for a while,
yes,
right? So you heard all the stupid fucking points.
So it's not even the same sport. It's not even in the same ballpark. It's not even the same fucking sport.
Not even the same fucking sport. You just have to turn around like you just muddle in a drink.
Oh my God!
What the fuck? Napoleon did not invade France.
I can't tell you how many times if I was working with somebody that you just go, I got to get the fuck out of here.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go smoke because what? And then it was hilarious because the other person's always like, what? Like they get a smile on their face, like what? Why? What's fucking driving you nuts? This motherfucker is over here talking about jet fuel and fucking steel beam. I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Oh, that stuff.
Oh yeah, well that's conspiracy theories.
I love running into those people.
Yeah,
I'll just see how fast I can. I'm like, how deep does this go for you?
It's funny because they think they're being smarter than everybody.
They do think they're smarter than everybody else. Yeah,
but I like to say is that conspiracy theories are the haven for the weak-minded.
Yeah, because it gives you an easy answer. Technically,
it really is. It's the easier answer.
It gives you an easy answer.
Correct.
And I've said before, it's also the movie thing. It's the truth that you want.
Right.
It's the Star Wars,
right.
the Empire. That's
drama,
what it is. Yeah, it's
absolutely.
drama. And really, most of the time, I've always said most of the time that you're worried about some horrible political aspect is probably because someone wanted to be greedy and had money, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, like that.
It's just
and
greed.
It's not even that much of a conspiracy. Like conspiracies don't end up actually being that much of conspiracies. That ended up being something that my dad used to say is like two people. Like you can get away with anything if you do it by yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But as soon as you involve a second person, and here I'm going to get into, there's a technical term for this in something called game theory, which is
I don't know shit about game theory. I've just heard about game theory. I want to point that out.
I've run into.
I'm not that smart.
I ran into a guy when I took the improv classes in the city for Upright Citizens.
Oh, you went to UCB?
Yeah.
UCB.
And one of the guys who was in my class was a PhD candidate.
No shit.
Yeah. He was visiting NYU. He wasn't like but that summer he was at NYU.
Okay.
But it's a thing called the prisoner's dilemma.
Okay.
And here's where like math and people fucking their eyes roll back into their heads. And this is just it. The weak-minded can't wrap their heads around this, or it doesn't make sense to them, so they avoid it.
Well, they don't want to learn anything more.
So
they're just stubborn.
The classic thing is two people get arrested, right? They committed some crime together.
Okay.
They get pulled into two separate interview rooms, and they're both offered the same thing, which is flip on your friend and we'll go easy on you. And so there's a bunch of things that could happen. One guy flips, the other, neither flip. Is the first one. One guy flips, the other one doesn't. The other guy flips, and then they
back
both,
and forth. Yeah,
then they both flip, which is the worst possible scenario.
Yeah.
Because the amount of jail time you get is
equal to
whether or not somebody's diming you out.
Oh, so they're playing them against each other technically.
Exactly, yeah. which is that's what our legal system does.
This is fucking great. I just learned shit.
But
I'm having you on every week.
But like,
can you dress like can you come in with like the tweed jacket and the?
No,
I do. You're like Professor Andy.
But that's the you have like two people that did the same crime, and so the best possible outcome is that you both. But can you trust the other person to hold the line? Because you're gonna go to jail.
Yeah,
you're gonna go to jail.
And that's And that's how you're saying that ties into like the two people make
Right. That's why you
theory.
can't, because you cannot trust the other person, even though the thing in your best interest would be to not flip.
Yeah.
You can't trust that the other person is not going.
Yeah, I get it. But it's all bullshit at the end of the day, basically, though, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's right, because they don't know, you're just being played against each other.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I've run into people before that'll say things outlandish to me, like Tom Hanks has been dead since 2020,
Right.
or like, and I'm like, nah, all right.
I like the Avril Lavigne one.
What's the Avril Lavigne one?
Is that she was replaced years ago. I can't remember exactly.
Like she's a clone, right, or something like that.
I don't know about clones.
This comes up with. I can tell you 5 other celebrities the same thing.
Right.
I guarantee what you're going to tell me. I could come up with 5 other celebrities that have the same thing.
Well, and this one kind of hits somewhat close to home because one of my good friends from growing up married the drummer, like Avril Lavigne's most recent drummer.
Okay,
before
like the current incarnation of
shut down.
Okay.
Yeah. Her touring drummer. Anyway.
That's hilarious. Really? That's
I know, which is fun. It's funny.
You get free tickets to Avril Lavigne?
Yeah, I did.
Did you go by yourself?
No, I went with my wife.
I don't know if that's better.
I don't know if we were even I don't know if we were married yet, but it was at
this
the
is
college.
what's gonna bag her. I got front row tickets to Lavigne.
This is it. This is the night.
I like to believe that's how you.
This
That's
is
where
when,
you
this is when I'm
to
gonna bust your cherry. Like this is suddenly an '80s fucking prom.
Yeah, because in my head you have longer hair and like a headband.
Right. Yeah.
And you like proposed to her in like leopard pants in the middle of Skater Boy.
Right. Well, it's funny because like Avril Lavigne was a kid to me.
Yeah,
Like
that's why it's hilarious that a grown man would be with his wife.
But so we're backstage, and they like we go into the green room where hey, you guys want anything to eat, drink, or whatever? And like boy, now you're gonna get in trouble.
That's all right.
More
We're
than more than 10 seconds.
No, we're fine. As long as we don't play Taylor Swift, she won't. If we play Taylor Swift, she'll fucking send a nuke to my house.
I bet you if we play her redoing all of her shit, she'll be happier than if you use the old shit.
What, like old, like what, like remastered stuff?
You know the whole thing with her? The recording contract?
Let's go back to that. And I wanted to
stick a pin to that?
Stick a pin, and we'll come back to that.
All right.
I also have to call this the ADDHD podcast
yeah,
or some shit.
And dude, this is like every conversation I have with
No, it is, but it's just very interesting what you're talking about with the whole game theory thing and like how... Because I've heard the whole thing about how not Avril Lavigne, but like I remember there was a rapper that people were like, he was replaced, and I'm like, he just lost weight.
Right.
Like that's what I mean. The dude lost weight, and they're like, it's not the same guy.
Right.
Ultimate Warrior was one of those guys.
Right.
Remember, like that's not. My cousin was one of those guys. He's like that. He was replaced. I'm like, no, he wasn't. He just wears a singlet now. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Look at him.
Look at him. Like, what? It's still Jim Hellwig in fucking face paint, man.
It just drives me nuts that people like settle. It's and that's what it is.
I'm like, what? It really is crazy to me because like, I'm like, you really like this is you've decided this is true,
right?
Like you are like, no, this is it. This is the truth, and you are so settled in your shit, you won't hear it from anybody else.
You know what I always tell my daughters?
I just tell people I'm stupid. I'm like, I don't know shit. I don't know shit.
No, Joe, I believe you.
I know.
I love when people like look, I'm half stupid. I always use the don't sell yourself short.
Yeah.
You're fully stupid.
That's from Caddyshack, right?
Yes.
Don't sell yourself so short, Judge. You're a tremendous
Yes. Yeah, I've been using that in every fucking place I
gotta
can.
get you and Billy on. We'll do like an all 80s movie episode or something like that. Just talk about our favorite ones.
What was I saying?
Oh, well, we were talking about the replacement. Avril Lavigne's thing. You said you were backstage.
The Avril Lavigne
Why don't you
thing.
finish that?
Oh, you know what it is? I tell my daughters
Okay.
that the moment you feel like you figured it out, that you're right, that's when you need to stop and go, why am I wrong?
Yeah.
And actually go, I'm wrong now. Let me pick apart.
Yeah. I have problems with that too. Like that's that. And I have to check myself just from like, this is.
No, everybody. It's human. Our brains. Oh, see this. We're getting into what I'm really fascinated in.
Yeah.
Which is
you and I have kind of conversations.
Neuroscience kind of
why
stuff.
people act the way they do.
Yeah. And
it's crazy.
And but the evolutionary imprint on our brains of patterns that our brain wants to force everything into a pattern. And there's a good thing. I'm saying that, and it maybe sounds like I'm saying it like it's a bad thing.
No,
but it's actually really important because how the fuck are you gonna hunt?
Yeah. Well, isn't that instinct? Isn't that tying to like instinct? Isn't that part of like human instinct?
Well, that's just it. It's not instinct. It's not the. We're getting far into.
Yeah.
But like whether or not there's such a thing as instinct. The closest thing I think is when you see a snake slithering.
Okay.
The experiments that they've done is that's one of the few instinctually just like things that a human will react to. Everything else is up for fucking debate. But your brain is fucking running shit, though it's not. Your gut is. The bacteria in your gut is actually running shit with your brain.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, it fucking. You want to talk about conspiracy?
You know what's so funny? You want to know what's so funny? I remember I had Billy on last week, and he goes afterwards. He goes, "We didn't talk about weed at all." And I go, "Billy, the point of the show is not to talk about weed. The point of the show is to get stoned and have conversations like I'm having with you. Right? It's like, let me ask you a question, man. Do you think there even is instinct? Well, all I can tell you is these experiments they've done on rabbits.
Right.
You know, but it's true. You're right. Yep. And like, there's. I don't know, because the human brain, what is it? They've only mapped like 8% of it or some shit like that. It's like, was that the genome? The human genome?
That like when you start getting into stuff like that,
we don't get so far removed. Yeah, but go back to what you were talking about.
It's kind of nebulous with
about
that.
Patterns though.
But yeah, with the patterns, our brains want everything to fit nicely, and we will change our perception of something.
Yeah.
To make it fit into the framework that our brain.
Yeah, that's why we give. I think I understand what you're talking about when it's called like little allowances you get. Like you'll tweak something in your brain,
bargaining
to make it okay.
It's actually called bargaining.
Yeah, with yourself.
Bargain with yourself.
Yeah, I do it constantly.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah. Everybody does it, and it's funny because this is in the vein of it being a bad thing.
Yeah,
because let's face it, if somebody can't do that, if they are pattern breakers, they can't operate in like society at all, any society, because it just doesn't fit in with the human animal.
So a pattern breaker would be something of like maybe a serial killer or something like that. Yeah.
But even they are able to
chameleonize themselves, if you will.
Right. And that's why they say, well, like, with autism, I hate this because it's a spectrum. Mm-hmm. That means we're all on it.
Yeah. Where are you on the spectrum?
We all have something.
Well, like I have ADHD. I have, like all that stuff and everything. I mean, people suffer from anxiety, depression, and all of these things.
That's what, and I think my personal opinion is that it's all sort of interconnected.
That's probably true.
And that spectrum really just is all of us. And there's no high and low, like left and right, like it, because the connotations of that white and black, you know.
But that's like really interesting too about that, especially with patterns and how people break that and it's norm.
Yeah, once that's
the synapses that's why is it the same thing when people tell you like the reason why you go and watch the same TV show over and over again is because it releases the synapses in your brain? Is that pattern behavior?
It's comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable. That's why. Yeah, that's
because
true.
You know what to expect. You know what's going to happen. That's why, like somebody who loves the Three Stooges and they can just watch the Three Stooges over and over and over again. Yeah. It's like there's actually something wrong
with that. Yeah, I mean, there's certain. I'll hyper focus on stuff, and I'll watch something a bunch, but like I get sick of stuff. I get bored very easily.
Right. That's know. Your taste
stuff I love. I have to give it like a month or two, and then I come back to it.
Yeah, your tastes change. Who you are changes, and so therefore it shouldn't be a surprise. It's not a bad thing to give up something you love.
Yeah, and that's something that I think, especially like, I think I'm dealing with that now on some level, in some way of like, because I'm 34 years old, you know what I mean? And I remember reading somewhere, and this may not be true. This may have just been some theory somebody put out there. But usually by the time human beings hit the age of 25, you've pretty much decided who you are.
Well, that's, it's fun. So 25 is the male brain has actually finally gotten to
it happens earlier for women. It's like 22 for women, I think.
Or something. Yeah.
But there's like but it's mainly, and I always point that as of like high school era. And I do believe some of this happens, I think, just because high school is so weird for some people. So I think that's why they need for guys particularly, even though like, because women find out a way to just deal with it and then grow up much quicker. They are less juvenile than us.
Evil.
Yeah, they're evil. Yes.
I'm glad we agree.
There's a word that I want to use for it. I want to say Satan.
Could it be Satan?
Anyway, you heard it here. Women are evil. Andy Plagainos says it. Women are objects and evil. That's what he said, ladies and gentlemen.
Objectively evil.
No, but you're right. Like I think like when you settle into who you are, and then there are certain things that I've found in my life that even though I've settled into who I am, I'm still in small ways changing.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not talking about getting older and like creaks and cracks and stuff like that. That's already happened. It's fine. It's inevitable.
Right.
I'm saying like stuff that I do, mental things and everything like that. I've had to let go of a few things, I think, recently that I'm like, I just don't do that anymore. Like cocaine.
Most of the stuff you do is pretty mental.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I have to be, man. Like it really is. I don't know why.
Well, no, it's because that our brain is running things. The gut is really holding the strings, but the brain is the ones giving the orders.
I think most comedians are probably. No, I don't know. I think some comedians are probably pattern breakers.
No,
really, you think they are?
No. It's the opposite.
That's what I mean.
Actually,
they are patterns.
In comedy, people like it's
performing it. Yes.
Well, not even just performing it. I'm talking like, if somebody something bothers you. And so you write a joke about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what I do.
Because you're saying your brain's going, that's not right.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be there. Now you are identifying the pattern. You're saying, look at this pattern. It doesn't make sense. And hopefully it's funny.
That's what a bad joke is. It's a pattern that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense. Wow.
That's what.
Oh man, we should have took DMT before this shit and gone real. No, it's too Joe Rogan-y. Let's snort angel dust. That's what I do on my show.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, but that's real. You're right though. When you put it that way, that makes complete sense to me because
I could swear every fucking comedian has BPD.
Probably.
Like what is that? Borderline personality disorder.
Yeah.
Like where they
it's to some way, shape, or form.
Their limits,
I
like they can't they freak out. Like if somebody does a thing, I can't fucking call and make doctor's appointments.
Yeah, I got stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely got stuff
Somebody
like that.
Somebody calls me, I'm not answering it. Like it takes a lot. Billy, like I'm like, I'll answer because he won't.
Billy called you before and you're like, oh, I don't want to talk to him.
No, like the first time Billy ever called me, I'm like, Billy's calling me.
When you first, like new friends type stuff. When something's new. Yeah, because it's frightening. Yeah, like, it can be perceived as.
Hello?
I can't call people that I like.
Right.
I think I have your number, yet I still hit you up on Facebook.
No, I don't think we have each other's number.
No, I have your number.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do. It says Andy Stand Up, and I don't know another Andy that does stand up in my phone. Because you were like one of the first people I met in comedy.
Oh, that's true.
It's true. I fucking love your act.
Which one?
Oh, man. Well, we're going to get away from the heady stuff for a second. That's really cool. We might have to go back into that. I have to bring you on. We'll do all fucking like, and anyway, man, the demons.
Dude, and then I'll start phantom pushing the hair behind my ears. As I'm like,
did you have long hair?
Yeah. No, and that's like if I get too far into it, I'm like, and people. A lot of people will call me out for it. They're like,
I think that's why
there's no hair there, Andy.
It's reactionary though.
Yeah.
It's people who smoke or used to smoke and quit. They'll still do this sometimes, or it's like they're not. And I find myself doing that too. If I really need a cigarette, I go and I'm looking for a cigarette that's not there. Like I'm pulling something away from my face. But anyway, we're talking about comedy before. I was talking about your act, and we'll come back to the heady. We'll do a whole episode of just like Andy's theories.
I don't have.
Remember, this is a comedy podcast. Don't take any of this seriously. And what do you have a PhD in?
Hilarious. Nothing.
Exactly.
I don't even have a master's. I've only taken like 2 master's classes.
I've barely got an associate's, bitch.
Yeah. Well, I do have an associate's and a bachelor's.
Yeah, more than me. But I did spend a lot of time studying and preparing.
Fucking A.
Yeah, man. Well, theater school, man. What can I say?
Dude.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So your act, you do this thing in your act that I fucking love. You have your own regular stand-up thing that you do, and I love that too, but you have this very unique act where you'll come dressed as Dracula.
Yes.
And I saw this for the first time a few years ago, and I remember seeing you walk in the parking lot, and I've seen the costume evolve a few times over the years at this point.
Yes, yeah.
But when I first saw you, it was in or near around Halloween or October or something like that.
Halloween. It was a Halloween show.
And you walked in the parking lot, but you had the cape on, so you walked very elegantly, and I'm like, what? I think I was standing next to Terry McNeely, and he fucking lost his shit.
Yes, he did. And I've known Terry, I've known Terry since 2001 is when I met Terry.
Yeah.
So I think he was reacting to that. Because now I'm like, if I see Terry's headlining, I don't do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, there's been like 3 times. because it was the 420 show was the second time you saw. Because that's when you were standing outside.
Which was like that was when I was just starting out.
You and Fails were outside.
Yeah.
And I walked up and you guys were like, hey. And then I
don't think I said anything right away because you had the fake.
No, I had a hat on. And you and Fails were like, hey, Andy, what's going on? And I just like opened my jacket and you could see like all the fucking Dracula stuff. And the two of you like, no, Fails is going, shut the fuck up.
Oh, he loves that shit.
Shut the fuck up.
Mike Fails loves that. I got to get him on the show. He fucking loves that shit. But even I was just like, because I'm just so excited by the prospect of him. Like, even if this sucks ass,
right?
He's gonna go up there dressed as Dracula, and I'm so happy that he's doing
that. It's a moment that the people we get to all share with each other.
Yeah,
to be like, to just like have reality be like kind of suspended.
Yeah, or
warped. Not really suspended, warped.
With going to see a comedy show,
right?
I mean, I've always sort of approached it with that. I've never. Like, not that I have problems with anybody who like uses their comedy to like, for a message or something like that. But I'm not like mad that stuff exists. I just I'm like, I look at it as there's an escapism element to it. Like laughter is people need to laugh.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? This sounds so Mr. Rogers-y right now, but that's how I do it. It's escapism for me. That's how I view it.
Okay,
I think,
Joseph.
I think
you can do that. It's all right.
I'm working on a joke about Mr. Rogers right now.
You can do what you need to do, Joseph.
So aren't you so happy that he was just Mr. Rogers? Because he just looks like the kind of guy that would end up in one of those Netflix shows. Like, oh yeah, he liked to take his children to the land of make believe this Sunday, premiering on Netflix. Welcome to his neighborhood.
I made all my puppets myself.
Oh, we don't go outside the realm of imagination.
Go
in this
ahead
house.
Right now, if you're listening to this as a computer or have your phone and you can Google it. Google Mr. Rogers Halloween outfit.
Oh yeah.
And it's a slutty fucking Mr. Rogers.
They had to ruin it because he was they tried to find. Remember that rumor that you want to talk about conspiracy theories? Remember the rumor that the reason why he wore the long because he had sleeve tattoos. Yeah. So he had like 71 confirmed kills in Vietnam.
So as a Gen Xer, and particularly my place in Generation X, I have insight into certain things that happened because Mr. Rogers, I was born in the 70s, and Mr. Rogers
that's when he started, right?
Started in the 70s. Or it was the late 60s, but it was the 70s where
the 70s where it took off.
Right, is where it took off, and it was everywhere.
Ran well into when I was a kid.
So my brother and I asked my mom one time, as we were adults, and we said, hey, what were the rumors back then about Mr. Rogers? And she rattled off like a bunch of them.
Anything weird?
No, just all the stuff
Secret
that
porn
we've
star?
Heard. Well, stuff like that, sexual deviancy.
That's always what it is, right? It's always because everybody's like, there is something to be said, and I've believed this for a while about if somebody's that perfect, something's got to be wrong.
Oh, right.
It's like those people that it's almost like someone that really rallies against gay marriage. I'm like, you're probably so secretly gay, you probably are you're probably the head of the parade, and because you have so much weird, you're going so hard against this one thing.
But you see, again, that's and our brain, we've now seen it enough that our brains are like, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, but he broke the mold, man.
But
what was some of the rumors you heard?
Well, we were like, wow, what the fuck? And she's like, yeah, no, we would hang out. We'd bring you guys to playground, and you start talking to other parents, and they're like, you're like, hey, so. And back then, there was no fucking channel.
No, there's
dedicated
no internet
to children.
It
was, you that one program. That one day on that one channel, you had to be there.
Yeah.
Nobody even had a VCR at this point. And it was 80 years ago.
For those listening that don't know, VCR was an old device that we used to watch movies on.
My older daughter likes to, whenever I'm talking about
really
something.
The really snot-nosed one?
No.
The one that you always talk about that gives you shit?
No, that's Daphne. That's the little one.
Daphne's the one that's always
Daphne is like every woman I know's spirit animal.
What the fuck does that mean?
No, because they all love her. They're all like, because
she's the funny one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
The crazy shit she comes up with is just you're like, dude, no, that's not true at all. She tried. I used to say,
to fool you on stuff.
I wish no. She's trying to explain the world around her.
And how old is she again?
Dad,
Oh
now
yeah, that's
she's
right.
8.
She got the Vinnie Barbarino voice. You talk about that in your act.
Dad, you know why probably the pillowcase is on that pillow? Like, no, stop, because whatever it is, it's wrong.
You just
whatever
know
you're
it's a
about
child.
to say,
yeah.
right? Whatever you're about to say is completely wrong.
That's why it's so hard when a child says something and you're like, it's just not. You're not right. Like,
Yeah.
Louis C.K. did a joke about that where he was just like, no, it's called pig Newtons. You just don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Oh God, I can't tell you how many of those. But my older daughter will go. As soon as I'm like, well, when I was a kid, she'll be like, it was 80 years ago.
She does that?
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious.
From Titanic.
That she mocks you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's so funny.
Yeah.
You have to do it just that's the bit to do now.
She's also the one that pulled a Polish grenade on me once.
What was the Polish grenade?
Polish grenade is when you like get somebody to come in close to you.
Yeah.
And you cup your fart into their face.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. She was like, Dad, you going to comedy? I was just going to a mic. I'm like, yeah. So, can I hug you? Oh, of course. And I went over there and I hug her, and she just like kind of held on to me with her left arm, and all of a sudden her hand was in my face with the fucking fart on my.
Yeah.
And it's funny because
how old was she when she did this? Like 8?
She was probably about 7 or 8 when she did that.
I'm never having kids.
But I was like so proud of her. Like I'm never upset at like the things that they do. I'm always like, you got caught. That's the fucking problem.
Yeah. I'm a good dad.
Right. Just saying, you wouldn't be dealing with this had you not been caught.
Were they the reason did they convince you to dress up as Dracula? Or was it like, where did that come from?
That actually
comes. Sorry, I got to go back around because I've always wanted to ask you where the hell
absolutely.
that came from.
So that was I was doing somebody's Halloween show. It was Evan Weiss's Halloween show.
Rest in
down
peace.
at
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, really, he could go at any time.
No, Evan is alive and well.
But yeah. So and he said, I really want you guys all.
That's a good Evan.
Everybody like dress up, like be in a costume, like. Fuck. And I'm like, well, and then the way my brain is, the way my pattern works, is that I can't get up there dressed as somebody and not acknowledge it.
Yeah. Especially in comedy. Like I always hate when you see somebody and they go up there with something, you're like, you can't not talk about that.
So my buddy Don Sill from Governors.
Yeah, I know Don Sill is.
Don interviewed, Brain.
I'm just killing time right now while Andy stares off into the corner.
Yeah, what was the Stanhope. Doug Stanhope.
Oh, love Doug Stanhope.
Yeah. So he's interviewing Doug Stanhope. He interviewed him.
In the Governors?
No, it was during the lockdown phase of the pandemic.
Oh, so it was like a Zoom interview.
It was a Zoom interview, but he got an interview with fucking Doug Stanhope, and he was fucking hilarious. But
was he hammered?
No. He was totally with it, and he was like, he goes, one time I did a Halloween show, and this fucking guy shows up in a gorilla outfit, the whole thing. And they sat him like right up front, and he's like, I went in the green room and I was like, nobody fucking mention it. Nobody even look at him. Nobody say shit about him.
Like, he's asking for it.
Right. And
he's like, I'm going to go. Because that's, fuck that. I agree with Doug Stanhope. I know. It's got me really pissed off for a second.
Right.
If I went to a show and some dude showed up in a fucking, sorry, I hit the mic stand, Chris. So he just stared at me so devilish. I was doing so good.
I like how in the beginning, before it was like, no, you keep hitting into it. Yeah, but I need it. And then whack.
Exactly. There's my spectrum. If I was doing a show and some fucker showed up in like a full like Darth Vader outfit and sat, but like the only person and like sat front row, I'd be like, I'm not talking to this guy because he's asking to be the star of the show at that point.
Right.
And he's asking to be the star of the show without doing anything.
Right.
Which really pisses me off. That's why I hate I hate hecklers for a different reason, not because they're interrupting my show, but because if you want to do this, then you can go to a mic, you can go do this.
Right.
It's really, I always tell people, I'm like, there are dozens of mics on Long Island.
Right.
Okay. Like anybody can be funny in a moment.
Yeah.
But to like continuously be funny.
Right. On purpose.
Yeah. On purpose.
And people expect
it's hard as fuck.
And people expecting you to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I have a constant discussion with Billy about consistency.
Yeah, I do too. I talk to Billy a lot about it.
That's the key at this point.
Well,
for like our level kind of.
I remember like going to shows, and I had gone to shows like going to governors and everything. And like anytime I get a chance to ask, if I see a comedian, I'll go up. If I'm like, they're outside smoking, I'm like, fuck, I'm just going to go ask them. I'm just, piece of advice. Why not?
Right.
Who the fuck they have to lose?
No, absolutely.
And every single one of them. And it really started with Mark Maron said this in a special, I think. And he just said like, just got to keep doing it. Which is such a simple thing. You just got to keep doing it. Do it as much as you can.
Right.
And then anytime I would, the only piece of consistent advice I've ever gotten from like any comedian I've ever liked or like a working one that's on TV that's got any kind of weight to them was like, I'd go up and I was like, hey man, I just want to say I loved your show tonight, blah, 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 blah. Some really queefy. Then I'm like sweating. And I walk up I remember I walked up to Big J Okerson and I was like, hey, you want a joint? I'm like, and he was super sweet to me. Like he was like, I told him he was like and he is one of my favorites.
Right.
But like, they've all said, keep doing it.
Yeah.
They've all said, keep doing it. Like there's something to me that no other like sort of form of entertainment kind of has that constant piece of advice. Like even in acting, right? Acting's a lot like karate or like learning martial arts. Like you figure out what style works for you.
Acting has, listening is
that's it.
Yeah,
actually, you know what? I'm sorry.
That's the one.
Yo, if any of my theater friends listening are gonna hate me right now because you're absolutely right. As the one piece of consistent advice I would get when I did like any kind of acting coaching with kids,
right?
I would just be like, just listen.
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, but what am I feeling? I'm like, you're feeling your shirt right now. Why don't you listen to your scene partner?
Hey, listen. The sense of smell is only paying attention to your breathing. So,
oh God. You run into a couple people that like desperately want to be Daniel Day-Lewis and they think they have to live in the sewers for 6 months and not memorize their lines.
Right.
Like I always used to get shit from other actors. I wasn't over the moon about Brando because Brando was like everybody was like because Brando came from that really his style. But I was like, fuck, I never memorized his lines.
Right.
If I was on set, you know, and this dude just does it, and like that takes him. Why did they go over budget all the time? Because they're doing these longer takes. Mutiny and the Bounty. Richard Harris, one of my favorite alcoholic actors of all time, almost got into a fist fight with him because he said, "I came on the set, I was memorized, blah blah blah." Now, Marlon Brando's still Marlon Brando. That's what I said. At the end of the day, I'm like, there's a picture of The Godfather. I think it's Robert Duvall wearing a fucking cue card on his chest, and they shot it from here up.
Right.
You know, it's a famous picture, but like. Does that really help? I said this before to you outside when I was talking about how some people they think to do comedy they need to be like drug addicts,
right?
Like they have to get like some people get, and I check myself, and I'm checking myself when I drink before my sets now a little bit.
Good.
Like I'll have a drink, but like I won't smoke I won't smoke as much weed beforehand.
Well,
I'll always smoke a little weed,
but it lends itself to consistency, because you cannot be consistent.
Worked for me. Yeah.
Right.
That's worked for me because I can go in with a clear head because everybody's nervous before you do it. You know what I mean? But like I've said the same thing about acting of just like, I understand that there's a need for people to prepare.
Right.
Some people do it more than others. Some people are more gifted than others. But the thing about it is, just to circle back what I was saying about, I got off topic, going to the comedy thing. You don't have to, the thing it is, people like John Belushi who got really fucked up when they were doing comedy, they were just gifted. They were gifted. Farley, all these people, anybody, what was the guy that Dennis Leary ripped off?
Bill Hicks. I was about to say Bill Hicks.
These were people, they had these problems, but they were so fucking good. Yeah. They were gifted in a different way. They had this thing that they could do, you know? Mm-hmm. You just because you can drink 37 beers
doesn't mean you should do that.
Probably means that you're going to go up there and not be fun. I'm going to guarantee you right now. Right. I don't think you can be funny on most drugs except for weed, but it's not really a drug.
Right.
You know, like you can't. I don't think. Maybe Chevy Chase was funny on cocaine. I don't know. I don't know. But like my point being is that's a myth. You know, absolutely. But the other myth of that with the acting world, the myth of it is that it's kind of the same thing. You know, you have to be tortured in some way. I'm like, you can just do it.
Right. You can just be empathetic, being empathetic. Because
people think of some horrible past to draw from that they can't connect. Yeah. And I used to tell people all the time, I'm like, if you really got a job in theater, okay, and it's the same thing for comedy. You really got a job in theater. You're doing one show for 7 fucking months. No one ever thinks about this when they're going into this once. Why a lot of people stop doing acting or any kind of entertainment stuff because the time for you are performing is a lot.
Right.
And I've done shows where it's like you do it even for 2 months. I've done shows over in California where I had to tour a show for an entire 2 months. It sucked ass. It was and you know what? Some of those shows were unbearably bad.
Right.
Not because of anything other than the fact that you're not feeling it every night. There's no magic that's going to hit you as soon as you hit the stage every night. You have to do a job.
Right. Consistency is hard. And it's funny because like the whole torture.
I hope that made sense. I feel like I got off topic.
It does.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give an even better example that you can
I
use.
just wanted to ask him a question about Dracula. We're going into some fucking...
But the shorthand is in AA.
Yeah.
Like, well, I lived in a group home and we used to get grounded, and across the street was this room that people could rent, and it was typically AA, NA, CODA.
Like a halfway house, kind of.
No, it was just a room to be rented for them to have meetings.
like a church basement.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Like
but
they use it for stuff like that.
But
Eagle Scouts meetings.
So if we were grounded, we couldn't leave the grounds, but we could go to meetings.
Okay.
So that's where we would go when we were grounded. Like if you were sick of watching TV or the guys, nobody.
We just watch people tell stories about being alcoholics.
Yeah, you go over there and be like, what meetings over there? And that's why
tonight.
Do you know what CODA is?
What's CODA?
It's Codependence Anonymous.
What is codependency exactly?
It's when people
they need another person in their life.
Yes, that they just, we call it being a stage 5 clinger.
Yeah.
But
can't call it that anymore.
No.
Different times.
Yeah. Hashtag time's up.
Hashtag time's up. This podcast is getting canceled tomorrow.
But at AA meetings, you would have, and they would try to push this narrative of, hey, your bottom is your bottom.
Yeah.
Like when you hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's your sucking 6 dicks
in a row.
Yeah. Just to get your fix.
Yeah.
Or it's that you freak out because you can't even walk to the
it's a bottom. A bottom's different for everybody.
Mailbox,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so
sounds funny.
But you don't. So what makes you an alcoholic is not these fucking burst into flames circus moments of like being like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's
he's fucking Al Pacino. Throw the bottle against the wall.
Great ass.
Tennessee Williams, get the hell out of my house.
I'm gonna play Richard III.
Oh God! Wow,
Mike, I can't watch that.
I had that on tape.
But I mean, not that he's bad. It's like Al Pacino. You're playing Al Pacino.
The idea of never mind. Continue with what you're saying. We're not
But,
going off on a third tangent.
Right. Oh, and they're all coming back together.
I know.
This is my improv.
No, it is, yeah.
But but then what would happen is you walk outside and everybody's smoking and drinking coffee, and you overhear somebody saying something like, that guy couldn't go to his mailbox. I was fucking doing blow and fucking sucking dicks just to get fucking just a bump. And you're like,
their pain is worse than this pain.
They're getting angry about it. And here's that
that's fucking crazy
pattern thing also.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
but it's also the
happened to me.
Yeah.
Happened to me. That's what happens is what happens to me. Happens to you, that's not true.
Yeah, because it happened to me.
Right. Once it happens to people, that's the only thing
There's
that changes.
a removal of things. I think this
experience is the only thing that changes our brains because of the patterns. It's the only thing that can break a pattern is experience.
It's true. I mean, there's something to be said about. We've got time left. I have my little timer there. There's something to be said about like that too. Like I feel like most people. That was like that whole thing when Black Lives Matter was like up and running and everything like that. And there was the whole like a lot of white people were like, I suffer too.
I just like how you're saying it like it's over. Like, that whole thing was,
fuck. Cut all this out.
Those people were doing that thing, whatever it was.
I'm fucking dead. All I'm saying is when it kept going,
right?
But like the most recent couple of years and everything like that, what happened in the last couple of years with everything, there was a lot of white people being like, no, I don't tell me I don't suffer, and I'm like, again. There's nothing political. I'm just sitting here being like, I don't think that's what they're talking about.
Yeah,
I don't think that you like not being able to pay bills in the 80s is the same thing.
You spilled your coffee.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that also happened to them. And then this other
See, I promised myself I would shut up and just like, that's what an ally does. You just shut up. And you go, yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's listen. And again, listening.
Listen to your friends. If your friends are upset, you're right. It's just listening. Like if your friends are upset, listen to them. Why? Why are you upset? Okay. Well, I sympathize with that. I'm going to stand by you.
Acting is
listening, the art of listening.
Right. And
it's weird.
But it's the human experience. Like you're holding the mirror up. Like, here you go. Here's the human experience. Yeah. And if you are listening, then you are doing what people do.
That's like comedy too. With comedy, it's the same. It's a little different because it's like it's not with the audience. They have to listen. I think there's definitely some stuff with listening for the comic himself, but you're not receiving. There's this weird thing in acting where you have to exist inside three circles, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to give out your energy, give in your energy, and the idea is that you float, but there's like one more, but there's the idea that you float between these three things, and that's what makes a great actor. You know what I mean? With comedy, it's a little different because you really have to, the audience really, the only energy they should give you is their undivided attention energy.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to hear, like, you know, if you're really rolling, somebody says something, you can comment on it or something like that. But for the most part, they're supposed to listen. You're supposed to give your energy out and hope that you get some in return.
Right.
You know, at the end of your set, hopefully get that applause or a couple laughs. But it's not up to the audience whether they're going to give. They're deciding whether they're going to give you the energy or not.
Right.
And that's the fucked up nature of comedy. Whereas in acting, you're expected the energy, so you have every right to get mad.
Well, see, this is why, like the long form improv, performing a Harold, to me is the most pure version of performance.
Because it's just going up there and
because it's going up there with nothing, having an idea, and then having to listen to the people you're up there with.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then it sucks. But if you're able to listen to them and react to it, it is the most unbelievable. It is like magic. It seems to be.
I call it
like magic.
I know what you're talking about, and I called Tell Billy it's seeing the Matrix.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I call it seeing the Matrix. Yeah,
and that's it took me when the world opened back up. The first show I was on was out at Long Island Brewery. Tim Saliani, Mike Keegan, and Carla Okerson.
Wow, good lineup.
And they had a few of us. And but I got up there and I'm like, I was like in the moment. Like every other time, I was just trying to get through my act.
That's the thing. I try to. I've had a few moments. I had a bowling alley show not too long ago. Talked about it on Billy. I think you heard it. I was like, I had a couple bad sets, man. And now lately, because I was stressed, I was trying not to think about it. I realized what I have to do is I have to read it for like 45 minutes, and then I put it away, and then I go to the venue, and I don't think about it.
Right.
Because it's in my brain already.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially because I'm just trying to I've changed a couple punchlines to jokes I know already. So I don't have to go and like pace around in the bathroom or anything like that. And it actually helps me better if I don't.
Right.
Because as soon as you get that laugh, all of a sudden, like I call it seeing the Matrix, all of a sudden that code comes down and you're like, I am the one. For like a moment, you're the greatest comedian on the planet.
Right. In
your head, you know? Yeah. But like, it feels good. I just did Mohican Sun last night. Comics Roadhouse. Phenomenal.
Right.
Phenomenal. We had a Nazi of a sound guy though. He was cutting. He went up. Jeff Wade, the guy who runs it, came over.
None of you are Jews, are you?
Oh God. He did have that really sharp jacket he was wearing with the skulls on it. I don't know. There's a Papa Roachko show going on at the same time, by the way.
What?
I've been meaning to. Yeah, we got like 5 minutes. I knew this one was going to run long. I knew it was going to run long. Because every time I talk to you outside, it goes on for like 20 minutes. But there was a Papa Roach show going on at the exact same time.
Jesus Christ!
And it was like, it was like, I almost wanted to go out there and bark and see if I could get a few people to be like, no, you want to go see a band from 2000? These are new comics.
I would love it if you guys had more people in the audience than that. That would be hilarious.
We had, I think it was like 120 people. We had.
Nice.
It was good.
That's a solid crowd.
It was good.
Yeah.
You know, Papa Roach had 250, but
there's more of them.
They're in the arena. Yeah. I think they did 2 shows. I think they've been bumped down to a band being like 1 day show, and then we're gonna do
8 shows a week.
Yeah,
you get 2 days off. 8 shows a week. That means we have to double up a couple.
Yeah, that goes back. Yeah. Hey, that goes back to what we were talking about before about like consistency and everything. And I realized before this set, I was really consistent on getting up, trying to get some guest spots in, going to mics and everything, and working on it. And then the audience was good, but the jokes also were landing. Like they were laughing big, but they were laughing where they're supposed to laugh.
Right.
So that's how I knew it was working. And it didn't feel, you know how people laugh too soon sometimes, and you're like, it's not the punchline.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a good set, and it's that energy that you get. And afterwards, I remember you get that feeling afterwards if you're like, whatever happens afterwards happens.
Right.
That was awesome.
Right.
You know, even if there's like 5 people and they laugh and I'm like, all right, I feel good.
Yeah. I have to say some of my shit is I'm shooting a little high.
You do I like your material. But you are shooting high. We do say you're the smartest guy in the room sometimes. I know, because you make that face.
Yeah. I am not.
But you do stuff. We always say that
well,
your
maybe
stuff,
this room.
your stuff, your concepts behind your stuff. Like people have to like your set. I think is like people have to like really pay attention to the beginning, middle, and end. They can't come in halfway through because it's all interconnected.
Yeah, well,
like
that's
it's all the stuff about your daughters and stuff. It leads directly into everything.
Right.
And I appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to like not just do one random subject to another. Like everything kind of flows into the next.
It's
the opposite of Dracula, where you're just like doing one-liners the whole time.
Well, yeah, and Dracula has actually morphed into making fun of comedy.
Yeah, well, it's you do the hacky one-liners, and it's what I love about it is you'll do a joke and you'll get nothing, and then you do another joke and you get nothing,
and
then you'll do another joke and you get a little louder, but you're not like it's. And then you start getting these little chuckles, and then by the end of it, the audience is rolling, because they don't get it. And then all of a sudden, like it only works if you can do a 15-minute set. You can't do 5 minutes as them.
Right.
You have to have the bat. Oh my God, we don't have enough time to get into this. When you added the puppet, it was my favorite thing ever. God damn it.
Now I do kind of an homage to Andy Kaufman. I think you saw it.
What, like when he read, you're just going to read Great Gatsby up there or something like that?
No, doing impressions.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like when he did Elvis?
He would be he'd be the foreign guy, and he'd like, and this is going to be my...
But he would do bad impressions.
And they were terrible.
He'd do one.
And then the last one was Elvis, and it was amazing.
Got a huge laugh.
And that's what I do with, it's the same progression, and I do that with Dracula, where I'm like, okay, do impression for you.
Yeah.
And I turn around, I shake a little bit, and I turn around and I go, ah. And it's always fucking dead silent.
But it's great. Except for like the 5 comedians in the back trying to hold
McGuire's.
We're always like drunk in the back
through the window.
Andy. Yeah. Because we get it. We've seen it. We get it. I'll always try to watch that act, especially if I know you're doing 15 minutes. Because I'm like, I just want to see how the audience will react to this. Because it's a rare set where I'm like, even if he gets nothing, that's kind of the point.
Yes.
Like it's kind of it's so inside baseball.
Yes. It's the experience that we all share an experience.
And you're the only person not to be so queefy about like there's some people that I like that like are gonna like they want to go up there and purposely bomb.
Right.
And I'm like, the only reason Andy Kaufman did that is because he was playing the long con. Like you can never do that again.
Right.
You can't, it's not possible to do that again because you're not fucking Andy Kaufman. It goes back to the thing I'm talking about before.
And people's attention spans are so short.
Yeah, exactly.
So
long form storytelling,
right? Which
I love. I think it'll come back around eventually, but like TikTok kind of destroyed it for a while.
Well, Vine was before
Vine
TikTok.
started it, and then TikTok ate Vine. And then now, oh God, we got to wrap up.
All right.
You have any plugs you want to do, man?
Yeah, there's a show tonight that obviously
this comes out on Monday, so
that was 2 days ago. You could have went to the show.
Yeah,
I think I have something up. Just follow me on.
What's your plug your Instagram or whatever.
Like my Instagram is LINYROX. I made that when I was in the military and I was missing home. Long Island, New York rocks.
My screen name is Baby Girl XOXO69.
I'm happy that I was an adult when I made all of my screen names. And
I wasn't.
But I'm also, it's PL again, OS is my last name.
Plagainos.
So if you just Google that, you're going to run into me.
I do shows with Andy, so if you see his face on a poster with me, come down. I just did the March 24th show is over, so we're not doing that one anymore. And the next one coming up is, I believe, McGuire's.
April 1st?
No, I'm doing May 20th.
Okay, I'm not on the April 1st show either, even though he was like, said, make sure you clear.
Oh, and I'm sorry. I got a big plug right now. I promised I would do it. April 22nd is Terry McNeely's birthday show.
Yes.
The Funky Bunch, me and Fat Jay and Billy Guy are going to be there. All 5 of you that are listening to this right now.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
Please come down and see the show. You can go to governors.com to get tickets. Please. It's going to be a good show. Come down, support. Let's get those reservations up. They redid the room. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I said this
room.
last week.
Yeah.
Is it? What was it? It's not. What was it called before?
Called the Giggle Room. It was called the Little Room or Lil Room. But
Lil Room.
But we're on Long Island and we don't do Lil.
No, we do Giggles.
Yeah, little. We say little.
So come on down to the Giggle Room. You can go on governors.com to go get tickets for the show. Just go to the date and it should pop up.
Do it now.
All right. So that is the podcast for this week. I'm going to start plugging the show next week. I didn't know who my guest was going to be last week, but next week we're getting Bridget Kavanaugh in.
Sweet.
Bridget's very funny comedian,
Hilarious.
so look forward to that next week, guys. I'm Joe Winchell. I'm the Millennial Stoner. Good night.